What are some of the most profitable or high impact conservation practices you've seen farmers implement?
Sure. There's so many practices that we've recognized through the Leopold Conservation Award program, and each farm or ranch has unique opportunities and different challenges that they have to address. But I'm always amazed at the way farmers can take somewhat smaller pieces and kind of stack them so that their entire system is more profitable and sustainable in kind of the root of that word, because the farmers need to be able to earn a living to stay on the farm.
Hello and welcome to Illinois Corn TV. We are joined with Lance Irving from Sand County Foundation. Thanks for joining us today, Lance. We're going to jump right into some questions to get to know a little bit more about Sand County Foundation and conservation recognition. For farmers who aren't familiar, what is the Sand County Foundation and how does it support agriculture?
Sure. Sands County Foundation is a nonprofit that works at the intersection of agriculture and environmental improvement. While we're based in Madison, Wisconsin, we work around the country focusing on private working land. Through the Leopold Conservation Award program, we recognize outstanding conservation taking place on farms and ranches all throughout the country. This program is active in 28 states, and it serves as a state-specific way to recognize those farmers, ranchers, and foresters in some cases that are showcasing how conservation and production can and should have a symbiotic relationship. So here in Illinois, we recognize one great land steward annually with some pretty significant recognition and a $10,000 cash prize. Um, Most farmers remember their dad or grandfather driving down the road and looking at the crops or livestock of other farmers. Farmers learn from each other, and many of them want to learn from their neighbors and from other folks that have taken that first step. That's the reasoning behind the work that Sand County Foundation does. It's promoting the stories of Leopold Conservation Award recipients or conducting research on the farms. We're providing examples of real life farmers and ranchers doing what people may want to try so that everyone can learn from each other and the community as a whole can benefit from more conservation on the ground.
Awesome. That sounds like such an amazing thing that you have going. What are some of the most profitable or high impact conservation practices you've seen farmers implement?
Sure, there's so many practices that we've recognized through the Leopold Conservation Award program, and each farm or ranch has unique opportunities and different challenges that they have to address. But I'm always amazed at the way farmers can take somewhat smaller pieces and kind of stack them so that their entire system is more profitable and sustainable in kind of the root of that word, because the farmers need to be able to earn a living to stay on the farm. So, for example, last year, the recipient in Illinois has done quite a few practices that all work really well together. He no-tills in his crops and utilizes deep-rooted cover crops. He also has instilled prairie filter strips around his waterways to prevent erosion. The no-till and the cover crop are increasing his soil fertility and water infiltration and resulting in not only more weather resilience, but ultimately higher yields. And his filter strips not only reduce sediment loss, but also provide habitat for birds and wildlife, which aids in pest control for his crop fields. So, with the cover crops and the no-till increasing the soil health each year, it means less inputs are needed, it means natural weed suppression, not having tillage passes reduces his fuel bill. All of these things work together in his system that aids his bottom line, because it's not just one individual component, it's stacking them on top of each other to ultimately make a more resilient system and a more profitable system for the farmer.
Wow, yeah, what a fantastic thing that they have going for them and how it benefits them in such great ways. You kind of already did answer this question a little bit, but do you have any other standout stories of a farmer who took conservation to the next level and saw those real results?
Sure. I think almost all the Leopold Conservation Award recipients throughout the country are just true rock stars in agriculture. Um, they're just innovating. They're figuring out what is possible. Um, they're often innovators and early adapters of new technology. And one of my favorite examples of this is relay cropping. For those of
Mhm.
you that are not familiar with relay cropping, it's using the lessons learned from cover cropping and the benefits of cover cropping, but utilizing a cash crop as the cover crop. So with some ingenuity and tinkering with iron to make sure that everything is as it needs to be and some precise timing, they are not only getting the benefit of a living root and the soil being covered and decreased weed pressure, they're also able to harvest the cover crop as a cash crop. Um, the other thing that really stands out that we see quite a bit is actually our first Leopold Conservation Award recipient from Illinois was a prime example of this. They did grid soil testing all throughout their farm and on each field, so they could reduce their inputs because they really had a great knowledge of their soil conditions. And it's kind of part of his overall plan. It reduces the input, it also aids in the decision. So you're not just making the decision based on what we've always done. You've got data behind it as far as what should we plant, what should the management be. Um, and it's really just working within that system and figuring out all of the small pieces that add up to something truly large.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. If there's a farmer listening today and you want to share one thing about the Leopold Award and what it means, what would it be?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, we are collecting nominations now. That'll be open until May 1st. So head on over to sandcountyfoundation.org and submit your nomination there. But what I'd like to tell people is there's no minimum or maximum acreage. There's no requirement to do one particular practice, to have livestock, to not have livestock. It's truly an example of who's doing the best with their unique opportunity. Some of the best conservation minded farmers and ranchers are also the most humble people on earth, and they need that recognition. We want to recognize them. So I'd encourage folks, if you know somebody like that, maybe it's your parents, maybe it's your cousin, maybe it's your neighbor, nominate them. Good folks deserve good recognition, and this is a way to recognize those folks that may not seek the attention themselves, but are truly shining examples of what's possible throughout Illinois.
We're going to get into our not to be corny section. So I'm just going to tell you a little dad joke. Why did the no-till farmer throw a party? Because he wanted to turn up the soil. Just kidding. He would never do that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate all of the knowledge that you've shared with us.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.